welcome everyone. If you're in here, let us know where you're from. I'm over here. It's John Tilley in Los Angeles. And funny enough, Ryan, it's like 72 degrees over here. It's a super warm day. I think even a little hotter. So for those of you in Celsius, it's probably around 21, 22 degrees Celsius in winter here in Los Angeles. So
Jeez, I'm super jealous. Well, we got, it looks like everything's rolling on my end, so we can kind of give. So where people are in Australia, is it technically summer where you guys are from? I guess it's summertime, or it's winter for us because they're in the southern hemisphere. Is that how that works for us?
Yeah, it's summer over there, and actually in Australia specifically, it's a pretty big. It's still kind of holidays for you guys. You guys take like the whole January and just go to the beach, you know. So yeah, it's good over there. Arshad, welcome from London. So guys, we're super excited. I think we're gonna almost kick off. We're on the money. Usually people are pretty on time, but today is a super cool session that we're gonna have with Ryan Cramer from PingPong payments, and this is a new thing that we're gonna be bringing to you guys in 2021, which is, you know, we have amazing training from 6-7 figure sellers like myself, obviously, Kimberly. We have Chris M, who's going to be joining us on a few. We have Eric Pontiaski, real great trainers around Amazon, and we'll be diving into a lot of that. But what we're also going to be doing is bringing on experts to do a very focused training around their area of expertise. And today we have Ryan Cramer from PingPong Payments, and we're going to dive into, you know, some of the it's sometimes known as the less sexy stuff, but as an entrepreneur, which you all are on this call right now, this is gold. This is what actually truly is going to move the needle for your business. And it's about, you know, looking at ways to save your money on Amazon from a financial perspective, which absolutely hits your bottom line. And there's a famous saying from, you know, one of my business partner who always says it, and I've learned over the time, which is, it's not about turnover, it's about leftover, and how much money you have left at the end of the day from a profit perspective that you need to apply to your business to grow it. And that doesn't come just from your product and what Amazon takes and what you spend on marketing. It's every single aspect of your business. How can you make sure that you're most efficient so that you have all the money you can to pump back into your business and grow it like crazy? That's whether you're doing, you know, Amazon business or even Zonguru or whatever else you're doing, PingPong. You've got to be a stickler for your financial side of it. So no matter if you like it or not, this is what you need to get into. And Ryan is going to jump in now. Ryan is actually pretty cool. We've had a few interviews with him. He handles the partner side of PingPong Payments, but he's been in the Amazon and e-commerce space for many years. So I'd love you to introduce yourself a little bit in terms of what you do, and you've also got your own podcast, crossover e-commerce podcast. And what would be really cool at the end of this, because we're going to go through and do the training. We're going to go into Q&A, but we're really cool at the end of this is to dive into some of your top insights that you had from some shit hot, excuse the French, experts that have been on your podcast, that I know you have some tips there that you can share with this audience. So guys, stick around. Let's get into the training. You know, make sure from a admin side that you know, in the chat, you can absolutely add a comment. We're going to come back to those questions. So as you go through, if you have questions, put it in there. You know, if you would like to speak at any stage, we might even be able to bring you on live. You can always hit the hand, and we can bring you on live to chat a little bit later. But we're going to go through this training. Make sure that if you have any questions or if there's any issues, just put it there in the chat. We're watching, and we can respond to that. And this is how we're going to roll. We're going to jump in. Ryan's going to take you through his training. He's going to do an intro about his area of expertise. He's going to go in. We're going to go through the training. I'm going to throw some questions your way. You guys are going to add some questions in the chat. We're going to answer those. And then right at the end, we're going to come back and we're going to go through your top 10 insights, or 5 or 20, whatever we hit, in terms of some of the speakers that have been on your show and what everyone can learn here to take forward in 2021. So let's hit it. This is the first one, Ryan. You're the guinea pig here of bringing on.
That's right. If it sucks, it's all my fault, and blame me. It's perfectly fine, and then we'll get better from here. So it literally can't get worse than me, guys. So we'll go ahead and get started. So, that was a super kind intro. Thanks, John. In terms of kind of my background, I can give a quick kind of rundown. So, John's right. I do run and kind of help on the partnership side, the marketing side. I'm a little bit of the jack of all trades, but really focus on the partnerships team for PingPong Payments. and have worked for various companies in the e-commerce space. I used to work for a manufacturer and distributor of home gift garden items called Evergreen Enterprises, based out of Virginia in the United States. We sold 10,000 SKUs on multiple different platforms, including like Wayfair, Zulily, Rakuten, Fanatics. We did licensed goods. We were selling in UK. We were selling in Canada. We were selling in America. We're selling all over the place. And my job was to actually build out our branded site and build out. I took a revenue stream of zero. It was literally doing nothing all the way to over $1 million in revenue just on a brand that didn't exist back in 2014. So translating that over to what I currently do, I'm former Viral Launch employee, so know the SaaS space really well. Did partnerships for them, business development with them, so I know the launch strategies. I know a lot of the insight in terms of the data that people are looking for keyword strategy, which is obviously why ZonGuru is so amazing at what they're doing. They're helping people, empowering people with data to help them grow on Amazon. And then now with PingPong, I'm on the fintech side, so it's almost like the unsexy part, but it's really kind of cool to save people money and kind of pull back the curtain, how people can get, a little bit better about their business, because as everyone starts out, margins are super thin. It's really tough to like figure out how to be successful on an early stage, but we're here to kind of like help coach you through how to get you successful, especially if you're an international seller selling. If you're in Australia, which is where a lot of people look like they're from today, you're selling in the United States. You're like, hey, I'm selling in USD, but I need, Australian dollar, or I need the euro, or I need wherever I'm located. How do I get that money back in so I can use it and I'm not paying an arm and a leg out of it? So we'll talk about that here a little bit kind of going in. So all that being said, I also work for a professional NBA and WNBA team in the midst of all that craziness too. So my perspective is all over, and I love to educate and bring people on, or like I should say, from my podcast that I have on Crossover Commerce, we bring people on to talk about different segments of the e-commerce and Amazon space. So as you can hear, I talk a lot and I talk fast. So hit me up.
That's good. Let's roll that. Let me just paint the picture here for everyone who's on this right now. In terms of this training, specifically around financials and ways to save money on Amazon and also marketplaces, right? We're going to get into what PingPong is in a second, but how this is so applicable to you, whether you've started and you've got a product and you're selling, or whether you're looking to start. This is a global marketplace on Amazon. So, one of the factors that you really need to think about is, what market should I be selling on, first of all? And we have some big news around that, by the way, with regards to ZonGuru. But, validating your product idea for a market, right? Whether that's Amazon.com, great. It's the biggest marketplace in the world, but is it too competitive? So should you be looking at another one? Singapore, Japan, Australia, obviously, is growing massively right now. So there's all these marketplaces that you need to look at. And then once you decide on the marketplace, you need to basically ensure that you can set your business up locally with that marketplace and have a local bank account, save money on transfers with regards to the bank accounts you set up there. But it doesn't just apply for money from Amazon. It's suppliers. It's a whole bunch of things. And it's really critical for you to understand what Ryan paints today, because if you have that good understanding, you can have a vision for how you should be setting up your business. And I've always said to anybody who's starting a business, it's not just about growing your product and making more sales on Amazon, right? That's a very simple thing that you can get right on Amazon. But if you truly are going to have a successful business, you have to understand how to scale a business, how to build your employees, how to build your standard operating procedures, how to set your financials up in the right way, how to architect your business in the right way. These are critical, fundamental building blocks that you need to have in place to have a successful business. Because you can have a great product, but if you don't do the other things, you might not have a great business, and it's not a sellable business in the long term. And this skill you're learning today from Ryan is critical in how you set up your business. So I'm putting pressure on you, Ryan. Let's do it. Let's jump in.
That's a lot of pressure to kind of talk through. So just giving everyone a quick company background on who we are. So PingPong as a company is been around for about 6 years or so. We're an international payments company. I would say think of it as a virtual wallet. So we're a company focused on merchants in the e-commerce space. We've built a secure financial platform that actually transforms how merchants manage their funds around the world. We help anyone from a Fortune 500 company to you as an Amazon seller who's just starting out. And they've built this network with tier one part. We've built this network, not us. we have built out this network of tier 1 banking partners around the world so that we can help Amazon sellers and e-commerce businesses save money when they're sending money across borders. And that's what I mean by cross-border payments is if money is transitioning or going to a different country, or if it's paying somebody out in a different country or a different currency. That's what I mean by cross-border payments. It's not like I'm paying John $5 for pizza or anything like that with Venmo or PayPal or anything like that. Those are all different kind of financial platforms, and we'll take those, put them to the side because that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, hey, we're sending thousands of dollars to pay for my supplies in China, and I'm going to save money because I'm negotiating with them and get them goods to Amazon, those goods to Amazon, so that I can become profitable entrepreneurs. So that's what I mean by the financial aspect of what we're going to be talking about today. So this is kind of ping pong by the numbers. It's an unsexy topic that no one talks about, but we have about 600,000 customers worldwide. We are in China, we're in India, we're all over the world, Europe, South Vietnam, and then also in the United States. We're really growing out our team. So if you haven't heard about us, that's probably by design or by simplicity. We haven't been around but for 6 years. So last year alone, we did close to our books ended at end of 2020, which is, put an earmark on that year. We grew as a company. We did about $20 to $25 billion in just e-commerce money processing. So if you think about it, there's money exchanging hands from one account to another that we handled in the billions of dollars worldwide. So for being a company that's 6 years old, that just kind of shows you the scalability of like us as a company, what we're going to be doing, but also what e-commerce sellers are going to be doing moving from into 2021, like John said earlier. So this is kind of by the numbers. It's a crazy, stupid amount of data that we're going to be throwing at you, but we're going to be super simplistic as well. So
one quick thing, go ahead. For everyone listening over here, Ryan just posted a great question in the chat here, and I love it if you can answer that. But what is your actual biggest financial pain points that's in your head is something that you need solved? With how it applies to your Amazon business. If you can just think of that, and if you have something, just drop it in there, and we're going to come back and answer that in a second. But the biggest financial pain points that you want to unpack. If you have that, just drop it in the chat, and we can come back to that in a few minutes while you jam through.
Absolutely. And it could be anything. It could be like, hey, I have a VA. I hate trying to figure out the currency conversions. It could be something as simple as that. Or how do I negotiate with a supplier? Or how am I paying Zonguru for access to their service? Something like that. So if any of those are a pain point, John or I can answer this for you later.
By the way, little known fact, we actually, as Zonguru, we use PingPong for our international transfers. So not even Amazon business specifically, it's our SaaS business, but it is a huge pain point for us. And I tell you what, the savings that we're getting from it is insane because we have to pay employees, we have to pay people globally because we're a global team, right? We're in 7 or 8 different countries now, and there's transfer fees and everything else that comes with it. So it's super cool. All right, jump in. I'm stealing your thunder.
Oh, no, it's all good. So for everyone who doesn't know, if you're a beginner seller, you might be trying to figure out, hey, what's the traditional payment model in terms of like what's traditional a seller might look at. So the vast majority of e-commerce sellers are involved with some sort of like international payment. Again, receiving funds from their seller, selling on Amazon marketplaces overseas, or whether they need to pay a supplier in China or other kind of countries that they're working with. So, and it's exactly because of this area is often neglected that the various marketplaces and financial institutions were able to make a lot of money off of those fees that they were charging you. And what I mean by financial institutions, specifically banks, there was no competition. There was no other sort of technology out there that would compete with them. So they're able to charge whatever FX fees that they wanted to. For the convenience.
Come on.
Exactly. So it's almost like one of those things of, if you don't have competition, they can charge you whatever you want and you're none the wiser. You still have to use it, still have to kind of follow through with the processes. What else are you going to choose? Nothing. So they can make those fees as high as they want to within obviously reason. Most of the time it's anywhere from 4 to 5%. So when we talked with sellers or service providers like Zonguru, we speak with them and they think that they have no problems whatsoever. They're like, hey, it's just the cost of doing business. But actually, what we kind of shed the light on is how they can take 4% of those profits that is rightfully theirs. This is all profits. This is not, hey, fees that Amazon's charging you just to use their platform. This is not shipping. This is no other sort of like solution that's out there. It's literally your money. Why shouldn't you have it? Like, why shouldn't it all be yours? So that's kind of why we went into this business where margins are relatively thin anyways. Fees are taken out everywhere. That 4% that we're going to help save Amazon sellers, that's the real difference. That can make you guys, invest more into advertising, invest more into product, invest into yourself. Those are the kinds of things we want to enable sellers to do. So receiving money internationally, that's the first kind of solution that we want to talk on, and kind of is the solution with PingPong. If you sell into a foreign country like the United Kingdom, you first have to price your products in the British pound, for example. So if I'm in the United States, for example, I have a bank account in the United States in US dollar. I'm selling in the UK. What is traditional is that I sell my goods in the pound. Amazon's going to receive money in the pound because that's where all their that's where obviously the community is making those payments in. And what Amazon is collecting is the pound. What they're going to pay me out is also the pound. Now that's pretty inconvenient for me because I live in Indiana. I can't do anything. I can't buy anything here in the United States with the pounds. It's not convenient for me as a seller. So what I need to do is I need to find a solution to convert that over. What's really convenient, what Amazon does, which again is not their fault. With convenience comes cost, and that's kind of where I want to bring my first point today is Amazon will, when you have that conversion, they will conveniently pay you out into your local currency, but they don't tell you what the cost is. But when you go to your Seller Central account, you can actually go in and you can take out all your international costs. You can take out your FBA fees. It'll go line by line in your Seller Central account. And then when at the end of the day, you say like this number that you have left in pounds. On the same day when Amazon pays you out, you can actually go into Google. I mean, it's the easiest way to do, right? It's free to do. Go to Google on the day that Amazon pays you out, and you can see what the currency conversion should be for the mid-market rate, which is what Amazon's theoretically paying you out. They're going to say the British pound to the US dollar. What is that conversion rate? And if you do what Google tells you that rate is on that same day that Amazon pays you out, you're going to see a discrepancy. You're going to see that you got paid out less than what you should have if Google's rate is accurate, which it is. So with those questions, you're like, where's that extra money? Well, that's Amazon's convenience fee, if you will, for taking that money in the UK or in the pound and changing it over to US dollars so I can conveniently use it as I want to. They don't do that. They don't like there's nothing that says like, hey, hold my funds. I'm going to convert it over whenever I want it to. They pay you out just like any other every 2 weeks. They will pay you out on clockwork, but they will convert it for you if that's the bank account you plug into. With that being said, obviously that was my profits. That's where I wanted to be paid out, but they're taking that convenience fee and charging me for it as a seller when rightfully it's my money. So receiving internationally, this is how it was traditionally done. If I'm using a bank account and I want to take it's a simple, obviously, infographic that you can see. A consumer is paying out in multiple different currencies. My bank account is going to receive those funds, and then it's going to pay me out in USD. Those with that convenience, and when it changes hands like that, that's where that 4 to 5% additional fee comes in. It's an exchange rate. It's what banks use to make money. And as a seller, that's where my money is going, just for the convenience of it. So. They also proceed at a converted fixed rate, so it doesn't fluctuate with the market, and only receive USD into your bank account. So you can't receive in multiple different currencies. So if I'm an international seller and I want to receive in pound, but I want to keep it in pound for if I have a VA in UK, or if I want to receive in Australian dollar because I have employees in the Australian dollar, I can't just have it come back to me and then send it back out. There's all these changing of hands. That's when you get tacked all these kinds of fees. So that's kind of the receiving money international side of things, how it used to be. So just to kind of give everyone kind of a real life example, this was a screenshot taken from a real life case study with one of our clients. And it's scary to tell you how much money we've saved. 6, 7, 8-figure sellers. Obviously, you guys are, if you're just starting out, maybe you won't see those big of fees, but once you get there, and you will get there, the hard work you put in, that number becomes significant. So say I am a seller selling in the United Kingdom and Amazon Germany and Amazon Japan. My monthly sales are 500 GBP, 10,000 euro, and 1 million yen. All these different things, as you can see how it converts to the United States dollar. And the rate was actually, real time, taken at that time on August 12th is the last time I did this example. The real converted amount, when you can see marketplace converted amount versus what the real converted amount should be, you can see the difference in USD of what Amazon paid that seller out and what they should have received based on that real time rate. You would just look it up on Google. So just looking at these three marketplaces just for 1 month, Amazon charged them 5% or 4,331 USD that they charge just for the convenience of converting that money back to USD. That's crazy to think about. Like, I would love to have an extra $4,000 in my pocket. I don't know about you guys.
Obviously, if you're international and you're selling on Amazon.com, you can open a business in the US, and you can actually put money into a US bank account. And obviously there's no transaction fees for that. But then if you're pulling that money out and you're taking it back to Australia or New Zealand, or you're paying out supplies and everything, wait till you see what banks charge on the back end of this. I mean, there's transfer fees, there's the commissions, there's the the exchange rate. There's a whole bunch. It's even worse than Amazon. So
absolutely,
you kind of get. And I've been through this. Trust me, with Zonguru, with my Amazon business, it's very, very difficult to get your way around this, and they have this monopoly. And that is obviously just to throw a side thing, but like Bitcoin and that's a massive disruptor where the banks can't really hold it. They can't really hold that transaction as much, and that's a lot of the reason why governments are not really buying in as much as they should be. But they've got a stranglehold on this, and it's guys like you can come in and be the middleman that obviously frees us up. So let's jump into how you guys can kind of help with this.
Yeah, for sure. So that's obviously, those are the kinds of right here. Oops. Yeah. So the new payment model, the solutions that exist, obviously where PingPong kind of steps in. A couple of people are asking, are we a bank account? Who are we? By definition, we are a virtual bank account. We are partnering with banks to open digital bank accounts on behalf of Amazon sellers, e-commerce sellers, and opening it on their behalf. There are a lot of solutions, a lot of companies exist out there. There's competitors like Payoneer, TransferWise, other ones that have these kinds of like models put in place to kind of help those international facility transactions. But what we do, we actually have these international relationships with, when I say tier one banks, I mean like Citibank, I mean Wells Fargo, I mean HSBC, I mean like globally, if you said a bank and those names, brand names that come to the top of your mind, that's who we're actually working with directly. We are not a bank. We have partnerships with a bank, and we have the digital capacity to open these digital bank accounts on sellers' behalf by working with these banks. So that's a really cool opportunity for sellers. Is I don't have to go to Germany to open a German bank account. I don't have to go to Australia to open an Australian bank account. They don't have to come to the United States to open a US bank account. All these things that typically you would have to go in person, bring all of your tax ID information, your LLC information, all that stuff you would have to take with you to that country to open a bank account. You don't have to do that anymore. It used to take days, if not weeks, to set up. Now with the convenience that PingPong brings, you can actually open a receiving account literally same day with our solution. And by putting all this groundwork in, we have this technology. It's free to sign up. It's free, obviously, to start using. And then we charge a fee when money comes, enters, and exits our system. So kind of what we call it is a multi-currency wallet. So when a consumer again, in the receiving example that I talked about earlier, instead of a bank receiving those funds, you can put PingPong's account. We open an account with us. You actually get a bank account information with one of those banks. You put that in instead of your Amazon receiving account or your bank account that you're generally using, and we will have the funds directed to us. And if you want to hold on to those funds, you can certainly do that. So if I'm in the United States selling in Australia, I can have Amazon AUD, I can have them pay out to my Amazon bank account, and I can have those funds sit there in Australian dollar. I don't have to have it convert right away. I don't have to have it, at a certain threshold, it has to convert. I can just let it sit there and start accruing up an amount, however much I'm selling in Australia, and have it for a rainy day. So when I do need more money, I can convert it all at once if I choose to, or I can just set it to convert the same amount every 2 weeks when I get paid. So we are almost that, like, not a middle person, but like that separate bank account that we can exchange it for you. And the reason why something like this is so much different is because when you are a seller, you, like John kind of mentioned, all those kinds of fees that accrue, we've built it out so that we're doing such a vast majority of receiving and sending funds, is that we are able to have such a low rate and pass that on to our sellers. So again, those banks are 4 to 5% on top of the mid-market rate, and the FX they're charging on top of those conversions. We are actually have a real-time rate that you can see how the value of a US dollar is. You can see the value of an Australian dollar, a Singapore dollar, the euro, the pound. Think, for example, if you had money just sitting in a British, before Brexit was announced, think if you were selling in the UK and you were doing tens of thousands of dollars, and then all of a sudden Brexit is announced. The value of a pound goes basement and it starts to drop. And then when you convert it back to any kind of currency, that value of that pound significantly drops. So you are losing money. So instead of having it convert right then in real time, actually helps sellers save tens of thousands of dollars just by holding on to the pound before it's somewhat stabilized. Once Brexit had a plan, once people started knowing, okay, well, I know what the value of a pound is going to be now, so then I can convert it back to my home currency. Things like that, where you don't have the control and capability with a bank or with Amazon when they pay you out every 2 weeks, is super valuable if you want to have your finances moved around quite a bit. So that's kind of where our solution kind of steps in.
Let's jump in with a couple of questions here. Ashad was asking a really cool one. Do you get a debit card?
Yeah, so that's a cool thing too. A lot of people, we have a virtual credit card that you can actually that you can apply for, and basically there's no credit or any background check. Basically, once you have an account, you would work with a customer service rep or an account manager here in the United States or around the world, where we would actually we would white label basically a virtual credit card number for you. Think of it as a debit card. You can, if you have a US bank account, you can insert funds from your US bank account into that card and start paying out entities like Zonguru. You can pay it for your advertising software needs. You can pay out your VAs from it. If you have a supplier that only takes credit cards or a debit card, you can use that same credit card or debit card number to pay out them in that capacity. So you do get a virtual credit card solution when you can either use the funds in your receiving account to fund it, or you can top up from your US bank account into your account and use those funds just like a debit card. So we do have that.
Awesome. Yeah. And then you get Zonguru points every time you use that debit card.
I wish. Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's no points aside. Yeah. There's no points or anything like that. It's just where kind of the solution comes from is that if you're having trouble opening like a US credit card, for example, this is where it kind of shines a light on a lot of international sellers, is if they're trying to get a US bank account or a US, debit card or a credit card. This is that solution we're helping them out with, because I had sellers I was talking about this week. They just couldn't believe that with their bank, they have a bank account in the United States, that applying for a credit card is just not existent. It takes too long. There's too many rules and regulations. Too many financial companies, they just don't allow you to, like, you yourself as an entity are struggling to find the way. With us, because we have all those different networks and capabilities, we can open it up on behalf of you and use it as a debit card to use it for, again, paying for your advertising agencies, your suppliers, if you choose to use it with that, or you can use just our simple PingPong account to pay out your suppliers like an ACH or a wire. You just want to accrue those same kinds of fees.
There's a couple of other questions, but we can hit that towards the end because I think it gets into some details. But let's keep jamming. So my big question is, okay, if it's 4 to 5% that's been taken by banks or by Amazon, where do you guys come in? Like, where's kind of the saving?
Yeah, so the savings that's a great question. So just like any company, we do have a fee that we do tie to it. That's how PingPong is in existence. That's how they pay my salary. That's how I'm still here talking to you guys. But with that being said, because we're doing such a vast amount of transaction and we have that partnership capability, our rates are way lower than if you went to the same bank, if you try to get the same rate. So we have that working relationship. Just like think of partnerships, you get great deals on if a partner works with another partner. they're going to offer incentives and different rates, best value for their customers around. So what we do is we cap basically the FX or the foreign exchange rate that we charge for transactions. And it's only one of two ways. If money comes in and you load up your account, that would be when you would get charged, or if you're receiving money from an outside entity. So whether it's paying out or receiving from an outside entity, that's when you're going to get charged. And before people kind of say it's not 4 to 5%, it's not like 3%, it's not even 2.5%. It's actually maximum we would ever charge you for your for that conversion would be 1%. That's what PingPong does. That's the absolute maximum we will ever charge you. And I say maximum because the more volume you do through our solutions, the more that rate actually goes down. So it's fantastic. I've had people get as low as 0.85%, 0.5%. It really just depends on how much velocity you're sending and receiving through our system. And that obviously helps us out, helps you out, save money. Even today, when you top up our virtual credit card from your US bank account, the maximum fee that we charge you is 0.5%. And then you can use that money to pay out whoever, with that virtual credit card. So it's a solution that is so new to people, and there's no holding fees or any associated with just like having money sit in that account. There's no account fees, just like maintenance fees or anything like that. We don't charge any of that stuff because by definition, we know that US sellers are going to either use that money or spend that money. It's just a way to help you save more on those kinds of transactions. It's taking out a bunch of middlemen essentially that banks have to pay out, like, hey, handlers and processors, and they have a lot of people that they have to feed, just like credit cards. That's why your MSRP is so freaking high. If you're using a credit card and you default, you have to pay out all these kinds of entities. That's why it's so high, like 26% or something crazy like that. Ours is low because of the volume we do, the partnerships we grow, and because we have that point-to-point system. There's no middle people that hey, we have to give you some points and we have to give you some points. That's not how it works.
Gotcha. All right, Ryan. So time check here, because I want to give at least another 5 minutes to kind of the education piece you have. We're coming up on 30 minutes right now. So if there's anything else you want to cover in that 5 minutes, let's jam that out, because I know there's a bunch of questions, and I also want to get to some of the insights around some of the guests that you've spoken to and things that
absolutely.
So 5 minutes more on this, and then questions.
As you can tell, I'm super passionate. So even after this, feel free to reach out, and I hopefully will be able to connect my email or anything like that with everyone who's on this segment. But anyways, supplier payment, obviously this is a big thing for beginner sellers. There are solutions out there that are fantastic for beginner sellers that may have anxiety paying for the first time. Use Alibaba with trade assurance, things like that. If that's peace of mind, we want you to do that. We're not here to tell you, don't just feel uncomfortable with sending transactions to suppliers you've never paid before. Use solutions like that and make sure that you feel comfortable. Once you do start to have a relationship with these suppliers or manufacturers overseas in different countries, you can actually then come to us and say, with PingPong, you can pay out in different local currency. You have the ability to pay out in 160 different currencies in our system. So if you have a VA in the Philippines, you can pay out locally there. If you have someone in Poland, you can pay out in the euro. If you have someone in Canada, you can pay out in the Canadian dollar. All of that you can do outbound through our PingPong system. Pay your employees if you have employees. So those are different things that when you have that capability, you can use us. And why it's specifically called supplier pay is when you pay and negotiate with the supplier, they do one of two things. They either ask you to pay in USD, which is convenient for you as a seller if you have a US bank account, or they want you to pay in local currency. Most people supply and distribute from China, so it's hard to get currency or get volume in local currency, which is like RMB, which is called RMB and CNY. We actually have connections with those, money authorities where you can pay out in local currency. And a lot of times when you have that conversation with the supplier, you can say, hey, supplier XYZ, what if I paid you out in RMB or CNY? And that way you don't have to convert that funds for you, because what they do is they will bake those fees into your invoice and you don't know about it. If you don't ask about it, you probably won't know about it. So I would ask, if you paid out in local currency, what kind of savings would you be able to get by doing that? So with PingPong, you can actually take your local currency, convert it, and pay it out into something that local currency and save a percentage or two as high as 3 or 4% of what we've seen, just paying your suppliers in general. So that's more money, again, you can reinvest in paying your suppliers. So that's kind of the really high level point on supplier payment. So yeah, so we're not just, we're the only cross-border payment company focused on e-commerce. And when I say e-commerce, we're not just talking about Amazon. Amazon is just a piece of the puzzle. There's so many, it's just the easiest way, I think, for sellers to get started. But when you start to diversify your brand, what if you sold on, not just on Amazon, but what if you had your own Shopify store? You need somewhere to have receiving funds. You can plug in your PingPong account and receive funds from there. If you sold on eBay, if you're just selling on Rakuten, which is in Japan, we have exclusive partnership with Rakuten. So you have to use a PingPong account to receive Japanese yen and convert those funds to wherever you're selling from. Cdiscount, Mercado Libre, Wayfair, Facebook Marketplace, anything that where there is a marketplace out there, you can tie into your PingPong account and you have receiving funds. So you have a holistic view of where I'm getting money from, not just on Amazon, but all these different marketplaces. And those will continue to grow. As you guys know, e-commerce is booming. You want something where you have a holistic view of where all money is coming and going from. And that's kind of what we tie into. Even payment. Yeah.
Just jump in there for a second. But, you know, a lot of the listeners here might be like, oh, well, I only sell on Amazon. But again, to what I said in the beginning, if you're growing a brand and a product that could be scalable globally, you know, on different marketplaces, set up your standard operating procedure now. So have the process in place with a bank account like this, so that when those opportunities come your way, you already have the system, you're already used to using it in that way, you're nimble, you're scalable, and you can apply that to whatever opportunity comes your way instead of doing it at a later stage. So this is what I mean about putting in place the right building blocks, and this kind of financial setup and procedure is critical to your business. So get it set up so you have that flexibility.
Absolutely. And I know people are asking, is there any drawbacks? Well, believe it or not, a lot of people are like, yeah, what's the catch? There's no catch. Like, I wish I told you there was a catch because people wouldn't feel less easy. There's no catch. The catch is just being able to, if you like going into a physical bank, this is not the solution for you. If you like wasting your time to go send an international wire transfer and not know where your money's going to go, if you want that like anxiety built up, I would suggest not using PingPong. But what I would suggest is if you want something that's going to save you money and going to save you on those conversion fees and get a holistic view of where your financial money is going, your investments, like money is sacred. Like I too am very like cognizant. I'm always watching my account. If you guys are just like me, I'm constantly knowing where my funds are going, how much I'm spending here. I need to know holistically how much money is coming and going. And if I'm just leaving money on the table, that solution is not right for me. Even though it worked in the past, it doesn't mean it doesn't have to work for you in the future. Make your money work for you and invest it in something instead of another bank or just on convenience fees. So that's kind of where we say, you know, we're going to grow and have those kinds of partnerships. So those are the other benefits, like John said, is to grow, think about the future, how you're going to scale your business, your brand, your enterprise, and kind of grow from there. And then that's really like my quick demonstration. I know we kind of like did a quick run through of everything.
So let's say someone wants to get started with you. Like, can you walk through the user experience? Like, they go to pingpongx.com and they sign up. Obviously there's a validation that has to happen. There's certain forms you have to put in. Then how do you get access to the bank? Like, what's that whole process like?
Sure.
And what's the actual subscription fee as well, and everything else that goes with it? Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, great question, John. So the way you do it, if you went to usa.pingpongx.com, that's where all of our information about who we are as a company, kind of like a holistic view. If you guys want to start saving your first month, and this will offer anyone who comes through here, if you want to save on your first month of FX fees and pay $0, you can email me. My email is ryan.cramer@pingpongx.us, and I'll get you signed up through a link. It's free to sign up, so there's no barrier to entry. You're not paying any sort of subscription fee. You go through a process called KYC, or Know Your Customer, and it's to validate you are who you say you are. So if you have a U.S. LLC or a business locally here in the United States or internationally, our team will work with you to find the best way to get your money back to you. The easiest way is obviously if you're selling in the U.S., you have a U.S. LLC, more than likely. So we'd work with you to switch out your bank account, to sign up and validate, making sure you are who you say you are, because we go through strict compliance and regulation standards because we're working with banks and we're working with money transferring hands internationally. So making sure that there's no like funding of like really ugly events out there of like terrorism or anything like that. So money is safe and secured with us because we are working with these banks, and each individual employee even have to go through all these compliance regulations to make sure that everything is safe and secured and following strict rules and conduct for every single country throughout the world. So that's kind of the process. Once you're approved, it takes about 24 to 48 hours or so. And we will, once we are approved, you can get in and start sending money that same day. So you can literally load in your invoice to your supplier. You take a picture, a PDF of like a past invoice or an agreement that you have with your VA or some sort of contract. That way we can say like, hey, that entity is also a legitimate entity. We want to make sure that whoever you're sending money to is a valid person or business or entity. And that way, once that's done and verified by our compliance team, you can just schedule out and start making your payments that same day, essentially. So the things you will need are like LLC information or TNI information. We have a list of all the different acceptable forms of identification, like a driver's license or a passport is another thing we would ask for, just to validate you as an entity or LLC or corporation.
Awesome. Guys, that's it. I mean, it's as simple as that. I use the service. Yeah, I went through that validation process. You just put in your articles, you put in your passport, etc. You get access, and boom, you can start to use it. And by the way, obviously, PingPong Payments is a global company. They've got a lot of traction. They're also growing in the US, and they're here. They want your business, and trust me, they have a great service team. So and they understand e-commerce. So there's a lot of additional support services that come with it, which is great. And especially as you grow and become bigger, those support services are already there, to help you guys. So, Ryan, that's awesome. So let's go through a couple of questions here, and then I want to definitely touch on with a few minutes, kind of your top couple of insights that you had from some of your guests on your podcast called Crossover Commerce. Don't forget that, because it's definitely worth checking out. But it's check out the one with me. It was it's the top one.
Yeah, the audio one's coming. Like, we're a little behind on the audio, but the video one is on our YouTube page. So if you guys search for PingPong Payments on YouTube, there's a playlist called Crossover Commerce. We put John's video in the Facebook group, and then you can definitely find it if you search like Crossover Commerce John Tilley. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, cool. All right, so let's see if there's any questions that haven't been answered here. I know we got Ashad. You're the man, dude. You're jumping in.
The answer is yes. If you live outside the United States and you sell in the U.S., yes, of course you can get a PingPong account. That's 100% possible. Specific entities, like every person is going to be a different kind of like story. So that's where we can help you on a one-to-one basis. Email me. I promise we'll set up a consultation with you. Just say like, hey, this is all the validation we need to get you guys set up. But the answer is yes. You can sign up for a PingPong account if you don't live in the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. So same second question. Ching, great question. Woo, I love it.
Woo! Yeah, love it.
Yeah. Do you integrate with Xero?
Not that I'm aware of yet, but what you can do, so you can set up different rules and you can download transaction volumes like CSV files, and you can integrate like those files with like QuickBooks and upload those. So you'd be able to use accounting software. We're working on the API to directly just send it to those accounting softwares, but you can actually just download all of our account information. You can get as integrated as like just on each marketplace or just on like, it's a basically timestamp. It's a bunch of different filters that you can use to download certain information and then send it off to your tax professional. Oh, that's the last thing you could do is you can pay your GST and your VAT through our service for free. Mm-hmm. So if you have an accountant and you're like, hey, pay my taxes. If you're especially if you're selling in Canada or the EU or Britain, you actually have to pay those tax authorities. So you can do that for free through PingPong software or through our services as well.
Awesome. I think we covered all the questions there. So there might be a few more coming up, but let's hit me with two of your top your top insights from 2020. What are some nuggets from some of the people?
2020 sucked for a lot of reasons, but I think I think a lot of people would agree. I watched on New Year's Eve. I watched the Netflix show, the 2020 like Burn 2020 or something like that, and I forgot like where 2020 started and where it kind of ended and all the events, and it felt like 5 years. So that being said, it's been a crazy year because I've done a lot personally, but from our podcast, we did about 30 episodes starting in September and ending it. And it was everyone from like John to people on ranking specialists to people in logistics. We were talking about just all these different things and different influencers all around the world. And one thing I continuously heard was diversification. And I think that's the word I think a lot of people are going to really hold on to for 2021 is a lot of things happen for Amazon sellers that they didn't expect would happen, like limits to when I can submit like quantity limits to FBA, or what kind of inventory they're going to be accepting at a given point when the pandemic hit. A lot of people really saw their sales drop dramatically. And the reason why they weren't ready for that is because they only sold on Amazon.com or Amazon Marketplace in general. The smart seller was diversifying. They figured out, hey, I don't need to just stand on this one leg. I need to stand on multiple different ways to protect myself if something happened with Amazon. It probably won't be as crazy as that, hopefully ever again, but you never know. Amazon can change their terms at any point. It's their marketplace. That's kind of the ebb and flow of everything, right? We're all trying to figure it out. I know you guys as seller at Zonguru are trying to figure it out constantly if they accept one thing or another, turn off a function or don't. What I tell people is just just protect yourself, whether you have an account where you're fulfilling by merchant and you work with a 3PL, or you're selling on a different marketplace, not just on .com or .eu or wherever you might be selling. Work on building that offsite brand. And that's part two is build your brand both on Amazon and off Amazon. That's a huge component of what a lot of trends are happening now. You're starting to see this fad of these roll-up companies, right? Every seller is like heard of Thrasio. They've heard of Perch. They've heard of Recom brands. They've heard of Heyday. All these different big corporations that are looking to purchase different brands that are successful, and they want to build them into the next, multi-million-dollar brand and within their own portfolio. There's so many opportunities out there for sellers. Even today on my show, when we went live, I had someone called the Amazon Matchmaker. He's just said, Amazon green pastures are going to be continuously out there. If you put Amazon in front of like your job function, you're always going to have a job because there's so many different facilities where you're going to continue to gain knowledge and to be an expert in the field, whether it's PPC, whether it's software tools to help people understand keyword research or product discovery, or just finding those micro niches that sellers can use to be, for example, to be successful. So there's all of this opportunity. It's not a crowded field by any means. There's always going to be opportunity both on Amazon and off Amazon. E-commerce as a whole is just this growing entity. It's going to continue to grow. We just saw it fast forward 5 years in 2020. It's just we're trying to all play catch up.
Yeah, no, awesome. And diversification, guys, there's so many different ways to do it. Marketplaces, great. Products, obviously, different categories. Just make sure you can diversify your products. And then there's obviously markets outside of Amazon. So, we saw the most successful sellers being those who have more than one product. They've diversified. So I definitely stand behind that. I think that's awesome. Ryan just put his email address in there. I know if you guys want to get that free setup or free month, just hit Ryan up with that, and he'll get going with that. I think we've pretty much covered everything there. That was a super cool insight. I think maybe we've got like one more in you. Is there anything else you want to touch on? Maybe going to 2021. I think I'm trying to think on my side. I think my big 2021 is kind of the continuation of 2020 in that as a seller, if you don't truly understand the fundamentals of PPC on Amazon, you're missing a massive opportunity. And I don't care if you have an agency doing it, or you have a friend doing it, or VA, you have to understand those fundamentals yourself, and they are changing rapidly. There's more sophistication going in there. Amazon has a playbook. It has Google. Google is the master at PPC. So they just launching new functions all the time. They're making money on it, but you can also make money on it. So you've got to stay on top of that. Know your PPC game. It's totally critical. That's a really important place to know and to make sure that you have that button up before you even launch. Because if you optimize your listing, using keywords on fire, using listing optimizer with ZonGuru, make sure you got the best listing potential out there, and you match that with your PPC campaign. We see it every single day. You guys are going to crush it, but you've got to make sure you have that game nailed. Because if you get it wrong, you're just going to waste money. You're going to miss the algorithm, and you're not going to do well. So that's my kind of big tip for 2021 is know your PPC, know that, be a master. Even if you're not doing it, you've got to be able to ask the right questions.
Yeah, and these are fantastic because you're asking questions. I think to continue on top of that, also just ask people that you see. Like if you ask John, I think John and his team will answer those questions. They're there to help you out. They're not there to let you flap in the wind. I myself have never sold on Amazon, and believe it or not, like even though I work on the service side for so many different ways, I'm constantly asking questions like, hey, if I were to do this, where would I go to this? And I have just this Rolodex of people. I've just constantly reach out on like LinkedIn or Facebook or follow them on social media, and you want to engage with their content. Like read it, think about it, give your own like kind of context behind it, and then maybe like connect with them. Say, hey, I thought you had great points here. Would love to stay in touch and just learn and pick your brain if you have some time. A lot of people in the space that are quote successful are in influencers, if you will, or the quote gurus. I never use that term because no one knows everything. It's impossible. There's not enough brain capacity to know everything that Amazon is, but they are successful people. So keep asking those questions. Just ask them, hey, you had mentioned this one topic. Can you elaborate on this, what you meant by this? Because I wanted to understand a little bit more, and I appreciate your help. I think this community is one that's really fantastic, and it's great to network with people. Instead of shaking hands in person right now, we're just asking over social media or through or Zoom conferences like this or webinar conferences, things like that. So we're willing to invest the time into sellers to see them be successful. Just ask the questions. Otherwise, we can't help you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's kind of a word I use even for ZonGuru, which is be confident in your curiosity. Everyone, the way you can be successful is to be curious, but you need to be confident with it. Like when you have the questions, ask for help, get people on board, be confident with what you're trying to solve. And people will just line up behind you and they're really there for you to help. So awesome. Let's go, David. I know you asked this question earlier. I think you did address that, but maybe the last question there, how long can your funds stay in ping pong? 10 years?
Forever.
Yeah.
It's backed by a bank, so if it's literally a bank account, so as long as you don't accrue any interest on it, but if you wanted to sit in our PingPong account, it's literally just a bank account with any of these tier-1 banks, so forever. I don't know why you would want to, because you would need to, I would say, spend it or like buy something nice for yourself or your family. Like I don't think you would want it to sit in there forever, but you could.
Ryan, thank you so much. I'm looking forward to the future collaboration. I know we have a collaboration happening, a joint webinar in a bit. I think it's towards the end of this
I'll be there. I'm the host. Let's do it.
Awesome. Great. Awesome. Yeah, so we're going to be on that.
I found that out today. So guys, if you just love hearing my voice talk, I'm going live every day on all of our social media platforms. John, are you the guest on that one?
Yes.
Let's roll it back. We're rolling it back again. Let's go. I think that's next week or 2 weeks. So we'll be live on our social media platforms. Everyone like all of John's stuff on social media. Keep sharing it because everything he's pumping out is good stuff. Follow us on social media. Just search Ping Pong Payments, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, all that fun stuff. If you want to search for me on social media, I'm just Ryan Cramer. So go ahead and do that. And I'll ask you, email me and we'll get you guys hooked up for sure. Awesome.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. You're really getting out there and connecting with everyone. So again, if you guys want to get connected with anyone, Ryan is your man. He is great at that. I'm jumping on that bandwagon. So thank you so much, guys. And hey, big things coming our way. We have you probably, if you are a ZonGuru customer, you're going to see that on Monday, new pricing is coming out. It's flexible pricing that grows with you. It's also a better pricing structure for you guys. So check that out on Monday. Doesn't change your plans right now. You can change it once you're in. So nothing's going to happen on Monday. You're just going to see the new pricing, and then you can adjust if you want to adjust. If you want to lock in your pricing beforehand, do that. If you have any questions, jump on support. They're there to help you guys. And Amazon Australia and Europe integration is coming just a week or two after that. It's going to be huge. I'm excited about that. We're one of the biggest growth markets is Australia, and obviously Europe with some of the traditional markets like Italy and France coming on board. So we're there. It's going to be a big year. We're excited. So Ryan, thank you so much, and everyone, thank you for being on here. Appreciate it. Next week, Kimberly is back on, or Eric, I think, is back on. He's going to unpack a few listings and some product research as well. So check that out. We have this live every single week, guys, and we're going to have better and better, more and more experts, sellers. Everyone's going to be on here over the next while. So check it out. Look at your emails. There's a lot of content in there where we'll be talking about these as well. So thank you so much, Ryan. Enjoy Indianapolis. Enjoy the cold, buddy.
Yeah, everyone stay warm.
All right. Thank you very much.